This topic is solving a decimal word problem using a linear inequality with the variable on both sides. So in this question, we have someone trying to choose between two exercise routines. So in the first one, she burns 26 calories walking and then runs at a rate that burns 13.3 calories per minute. The second one is only running and ends up being 18.5 calories per minute. Before we even move on, let's just try to make some equations, okay? Just make some sense out of these numbers here. So for routine number one, 26 calories walking. Okay, so let's just go and put down that 26. And then, so let's do plus another 13.3. That's for every minute. Okay, so 13.3, we'll just say X. So that's per minute. For routine 2, only running, so we don't have any of those walking calories to put in. And just the rate is 18.5 calories, so 18.5 per minute. So again, 18.5X. All right, so we made some sense of the numbers. Now let's see what they ask us here. It says, for what amounts of time spent running will routine number one burn at least as many calories as routine number two? I guess we were supposed to use T for the minutes, so I can erase that real quick. I can fix that. So T for the minutes, we got that all fixed. So what amounts will routine number one burn at least? So the same amount or more. Okay, so let's put these guys next to each other. So I want to know when the one on the left is the same or more. So the or more would be greater than, or if it was the same, it would be greater than or equal to. So this will show us how many minutes spent running that routine number one will be at least as many as routine number two, because it's going to be that amount or more. Okay, so now we just solve for T. So first thing that I will do is just subtract 13.3 T from both sides. And when I do that, I have 26 is greater than or equal to 5.2 T. And then just divide both sides by 5.2. And when we do that, we get 5 is greater than or equal to T. So this means that when the amount of time spent running is no more than 5 minutes, because we have the T is the less than, right? So is no more than 5 minutes, routine one burns at least as many calories as routine two. One other thing to note, I don't know if it will show up in any of these problems, but just off to the side, I'm going to put any time we multiply or divide by a negative number, reverse the inequality. So for example, if you had something like negative 3x, I'm just making this up, is greater than 6, and then you had to go through, and then here we're dividing by a negative number. So anytime that we do that, we reverse that inequality, so it just flip-flops, okay? So that's just a little side note. The next one, let me make sure this all looks good here. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, the next one talks about, let's see, renting a truck for a day. Okay, so we have company A charges an initial fee of $68.50, additional 50 cents for every mile driven. B, the initial 60, and then 60 for everyone driven. And I learned in the last one, go find those variables that they want you to use. So we're going to write this as an inequality with M for the number of miles driven. And then it says, for what mileages will company A charge no more than company B? Okay, I am again just going to start by making my equations. And then I'll set up the inequality later. So I'm going to figure out company A, company B. Okay, so A is the initial fee of $68.50. Then the additional 50 cents. A lot of times I see students just put plus 50, but remember we have these $68. So this 50 cents we have to actually write as 50 cents. Okay, so plus 0. We'll say 50. So that represents the cents. Okay, so it all stays that same unit. Every mile driven, they said to use M. So we have our first one. The next one was 60 plus, it looks like an additional 60 cents for every mile driven. All right, so let's go and read that question again. So for what mileages will company A charge no more than company B? So I'm going to put them next to each other. All right, so company A is no more than company B. So the one on the left is company A is going to be no more. So that means it has to be less than or equal to, right? So that means it would be no more because it's less than, or it might be the same. And now that it's all set up, we just go ahead and solve. First thing I will do is subtract 60 from both sides. And at the same time, I'm also going to go ahead and get all of the m's over to one side. So I'm also going to do a minus 0.50 m from both sides. And when I do that, I'm left with an 8.50 is less than or equal to 0.10 m. Divide both sides to get the m by itself. And when I do 8.5 divided by 0.1, I get 85 is less than or equal to m. So what this means is when the truck is driven at least 85, because the m is greater than or equal to. So when the truck is driven at least 85 miles, company A will charge no more, so the same or less, than company B.